During this session, we're going to go through how Google and Chrome Enterprise keep businesses secure wherever their employees may work. In this session, we'll start off by talking about the current landscape and how remote working has created new security challenges for IT departments. We'll discuss what IT needs for a full stack secure solution for remote working and walk through many of Google's product offerings that can help IT administrators keep delivering a secure remote working experience. If you're attending a live training session, please feel free to log any questions you may have in the chat box to your right. We will have dedicated time to address these questions at the end. As many of you will have experienced firsthand, the COVID-19 pandemic has required organizations to embrace remote working just to keep the lights on and survive. On the 17th of March 2020, Gartner ran a study with 800 HR executives to ask about how COVID has impacted their businesses. They found that 88% of organizations have asked their employees to work remotely. 97% of organizations have cancelled work-related travel. However, only 10% of organizations plan to reduce working hours. For us, this shows that despite the prevalence of coronavirus across the world, business demands require that work must go on. Embracing remote work has become a requirement to meet these demands. And unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic has given cybercriminals even more confidence. They are deploying new types of attacks to take advantage of business users. Despite the need for remote working solutions, driving a remote working strategy has created a massive security challenge for IT departments, who aim to protect corporate data without physical access to the device, user, or network. This changing dynamic is emboldening cybercriminals to deploy new types of attack variants. Recently, Gartner once more has reported a new attack variant targeting business users with fake coronavirus-themed emails. These phishing attacks are designed to trick employees into opening attachments that contain health precautions for combating the spread of the virus. When the user downloads these attachments, malicious software infects end-user devices and has the potential to compromise entire networks. This is only an example of the types of attacks hackers are leveraging at this time, but shows the need to provide remote workers with tools to help protect from these growing in prevalence attacks. Despite these new security challenges, businesses are looking to reduce costs during this challenging time. Much of the cost reducing companies are looking for come from a more efficient use of technology. The Gartner HR survey we mentioned earlier found that 70% of organizations plan to cut costs through a more effective use of technology. So, what have we learned so far? Remote working is a necessity to keep businesses up and running. This has created security challenges for IT departments. This is all at a time when there is increased pressure on organizations to reduce technology costs. While securing your remote workers with reduced budgets during a crisis may seem like an impossibility, there is light at the end of the tunnel. A full stack approach to securing your business can ensure employees have the access they need while limiting the risk of an attack. So, what should an organization that's embracing secure remote work consider deploying to keep their business safe? Secure endpoints, harden devices that reduce the risk of malware, update without interruption, and ensure data is encrypted. User protections, services that help users identify phishing risks. Cloud-based management, management that provides administrators with full control of their device and browser fleet. Zero trust access, contextual access to internal services without the need for a VPN. With Google and Chrome Enterprise, a full stack approach to keeping your business secure can become a reality with Chromebooks. Also worth bearing in mind is Chrome Enterprise Upgrade, Chrome Browser Cloud Management, and Beyond Corp Remote Access. For the rest of this session, we'll review these solutions and how they provide the secure endpoints, user protections, cloud-based management, and zero trust access needed for securing remote workers. We're also going to share some recommended settings IT admins can use to manage their remote workforce. Each layer of a Chromebook works together to provide innovative security benefits. Chromebooks are different. Chrome devices are designed from inception to be fundamentally different. They're not created by simply dropping an OS on a generic commodity motherboard. The devices are designed in close partnership with OEM partners. Regardless of which OEM manufactures the device, they all build to designs that are architected by Google, with specific hardware components that are engineered to work in synchrony with the OS and vice versa. Each layer of the machine you're using works in conjunction with the others in a way that provides an innovatively secure environment with uniquely differentiated benefits over legacy systems. To start, Chromebooks, regardless of manufacturer or model, come with Titan C, a security chip built into the hardware that works with Chrome OS to ensure the integrity of the OS and firmware, protects users from brute force attacks, and more. It's the security chip that is at the core of many Chromebooks' security features. Chromebooks come with the built-in Titan C security chip that's designed by Google to keep your data secure and protect your identity. They require no setup. Titan C works right out of the box, requiring no configuration or software installs. Google regularly updates the chip's firmware, so your Chromebook always stays protected, even from the most recent threats. Unlike other systems, third-party antivirus software is not needed to protect Chromebooks and notify IT admins of threats within their infrastructure. And why is this? Well, Chromebooks are designed to be read-only. Installed applications, for example, Android apps, progressive web apps, and Chrome extensions, cannot modify the OS. This also applies to traditional forms of malware, as Chromebooks cannot run executable files of any kind. Sandboxing isolates an attack to a limited surface. Chrome browser has long used sandboxes to contain threats to a single tab and can contain a single process with site isolation. Chromebooks take this a step further, keeping applications such as Chrome, Android, PWA, Linux isolated from each other to make sure infected applications are kept quarantined from other parts of the system. On Chrome browser, site isolation takes this notion and provides additional protection, making it even harder for untrustworthy websites to access or steal information from your accounts on other sites. Sandboxing and site isolation help limit the scope of a potential exploit. Verified boot. This presents boot up of an OS that's been tampered with. At device boot up, verified boot runs its process to ensure the OS, firmware, and other components of the device are running code that's authentic and distributed from Google. If a bad actor was able to load a tampered version of Chrome OS onto the device, verified boot would notice Chrome OS isn't authentic and therefore won't run the operating system. Chrome devices have a second version of the OS on the device and will attempt to run that version. This is all done without user interruption. Because the threat landscape is very dynamic, continually evolving and changing, it's imperative that the security position of your OS keeps pace, which is why it's critical to keep machines in your fleet as current as possible. On Chromebooks, the OS updates are designed to avoid user interruption and downtime, ensuring the device has all recent updates without minimal effort, if any, needed from the end user. As discussed earlier, Chromebooks have two versions of Chrome OS on every device. While the end user continues to work on their machine, the dormant Chrome OS copy updates, ensuring the update directly from Google is downloaded onto the device without any user interruption. Once updated, behind the scenes, the update applies on reboot, taking only a matter of seconds to complete. Even with a secure endpoint that reduces risk of malware, increases likelihood of updates, and more, users still run the risk of falling hostage to phishing attacks, like the fake coronavirus themed emails mentioned earlier. They can also be victims of third party data breaches or social engineering attacks, where possible information that's personal and passwords are made available to hackers, sometimes at no fault of their own. Chrome browser is also built with services powered by Google that deter end users from clicking on those emails and identify the end user when a user's password needs to be changed. On the topic of Chrome browser security features, Google's Safe Browsing service examines billions of URLs, software, and content on pages in its search to check for unsafe websites. Every day, Safe Browsing discovers thousands of new unsafe sites. Many of these are legitimate websites that have been compromised by hackers. Google Safe Browsing is openly available on the web to third party developers and protects half of all internet traffic. When our systems have identified a site as potentially harmful, Safe Browsing triggers a warning to users. These warnings are designed to prevent users from visiting harmful sites and help them stay safe online. Safe Browsing alerts webmasters when their sites have been hacked and provides information to help clean up the problem. Every time we add an unsafe site to the list, we notify the webmaster through the Search Console. We detail the steps to recover from an infection in our help center and give webmasters examples of the specific code that has been injected into their site. With Google Chrome, you can check a user's saved passwords if they've been leaked and compromised in breaches. Google's embedded checkup directly in a user's Google account. It'll tell you whether your passwords have been compromised on other sites or services, warn against phrases that have been reused, and prompt for weaker passwords to be strengthened. Services like LastPass already offer similar tools, but Google is making them easily accessible at passwords.google.com. Since Chrome version 79, Google has started warning users if their credentials have been compromised in a data leak when they log into a website. Chrome 83 built on this feature, allowing users to check on all their saved passwords at once. However, note, it does not send plain text passwords to Google. When supporting a deployment of remote workers, it's important to have the right administrative tools in place that help keep employees more secure. The Google Admin Console has tons of features for managing Chrome devices and Chrome browser that provide IT with needed tools and information. They include hundreds of policies for IT admins to curate the experience for their fleet, spanning user, browser, and device policies. Furthermore, the Google Admin Console is quick and easy to navigate. You can search for the policy, device, or user you're looking for with ease. You can deploy extensions, PWAs, and Android apps. The Google Admin Console has a unified application deployment experience where IT admins can set allow lists, block lists, and even force installs. Learn more about your fleet with device reporting. Searching for devices in the Google Admin Console shares lots of information about the device in the fleet. This information can be exported to a CSV file for data analysis. The Google Admin Console is a key tool for IT admins to enhance the security of their Chrome device and Chrome browser fleets. In the following slides, we're going to walk through some examples of policies that are recommended for IT administrators deploying to remote workers. Some considerations for lost and stolen prevention. You can disable a lost device and set return instructions. The Google Admin Console provides IT admins with lost and stolen preventions. In the case that a user loses their device or it gets stolen, IT admins can disable the device so that it cannot be used by someone who may pick it up. The Google Admin Console also allows IT admins to publish return instructions on the screen of the device. This functionality is set through an IT policy in the Admin Console, who can type a message they'd like for the person who picks up the device to receive. When the device is picked up, the end user will be unable to use the device as it's locked into the screen with return instructions, basically making the device a brick to anybody who picks it up. This setting here ensures that the device can't be broken into, and it prevents the person who picks up the device from being able to access any corporate data on the device. Another consideration is login controls, where you can restrict signing into a device to a list of users. Part of the challenge with managing remote workers is that their workspace surroundings can be unknown. Part of the job of an IT admin is to prevent unauthorized access to corporate devices to reduce the risk of data theft. In this slide, we show how an IT admin can restrict signing into a device to a specific list of users. On the left-hand side, the IT admin can type in a list of accounts that are allowed to have access. If the user is not authorized to log into the account, they'll get a prompt, as shown on the right-hand side of the slide, that they are not authorized to use the device. Since version 83 of Chrome OS, you can enforce device reboot and set a notification to let users know a new update has been downloaded. To ensure the most secure experience, it's important that end users update the OS on their devices. On Chromebooks, OS updates download in the background without interrupting end users. To get that OS into use, the end user needs to reboot the device. While this takes a matter of seconds, sometimes end users still need a gentle reminder to reboot the device. In a recent version of Chrome OS, we launched the ability for an IT admin to set a notification for end users that reminds end users to reboot the device within a defined period of time, once the update has been downloaded. On the left-hand side, the IT admin can set the policy to show the notification, along with the period of time the end user has to reboot the device. On the right-hand side of this slide, you can see what the notification will look like for an end user. Chrome Browser Cloud Management lets admins manage their enterprise browser deployments across Windows, Mac, Linux, and Chrome OS, all from a single console. This includes setting browser policies with only a few clicks, like password alert policy. Studies have shown that over 52% of enterprise users reuse their corporate passwords on personal sites. There is now a password alert feature in Chrome that keeps your organization secure by stopping employees from reusing their corp password on non-corp websites. When an employee reuses their corporate password on an unauthorized website, Password Alert will tell users that this is against their corporate policy and ask them to change their password. Next, let's talk about zero trust access. Traditionally, to get access to internal sites, users were required to be at the office or use a VPN service that routes traffic within the business perimeter. However, being at the office isn't an option for remote workers. And with more business being done through SaaS applications, much of the data you're working with is stored out of this perimeter, which could force some security challenges. To solve these issues, companies are adopting zero trust access models that aim to never trust devices, but instead verify that they meet the requirements to access. Core tenets for zero trust include connecting from a particular network does not determine which service a user can access. Access to services is granted based on what the infrastructure knows about a user and their device. Access to services must be authenticated, authorized, and encrypted for every request. Beyond Corp Remote Access is a SaaS solution that enables responsive and easy to use access to internal web apps for employees and the extended workforce from virtually any device, anywhere, using a web browser without a traditional VPN. With this solution, you can rapidly accelerate and scale the delivery of remote access to internal web apps with a highly available and reliable cloud service. Deploy the SaaS solution in days versus months that it takes with a traditional remote access VPN. This enables users to access your applications hosted in the cloud and on premises from virtually any device, anywhere through a web browser. Make your apps more responsive and accessible around the planet with Google's private global network. A lower total cost of ownership can be enjoyed via this solution by offloading infrastructure tasks to the cloud and simplifying licensing with a pay as you go pricing. You can also gain more control and peace of mind through increased security posture for an organization by implementing a modern zero trust security model that helps to ensure only authorized users from trusted devices can access a specific set of apps. If you'd like to learn more about how to deploy Beyond Corp remote access to an organization, check out the deployment guide linked behind the URL listed to the bottom right. When we think of Beyond Corp remote access and Chrome Enterprise together, this becomes a full stack solution for secure remote working. As we've already discussed, Chromebooks are designed to reduce the impact of malware and phishing attacks and ensure they're up to date with the most recent security patches. Then, with Chrome Enterprise Upgrade, you can ensure policies are set to make sure your device fleet is on the most recent version of Chrome OS, that it can be disabled if the device is lost, and can be accessed by only the folks it's meant to be accessed by. With Beyond Corp Remote Access and Chrome Enterprise, Google offers a full stack solution that keeps remote workers secure. With Beyond Corp Remote Access, IT admins can set rules that limit access to internal intranet sites, for example, to just Chromebooks.